Connected to icon. Icon disconnected. Ready to pair.
Someone put up some things at a school that was criticized by a dean and was taken down. They put up these signs that say it's okay to be white.
Connected to icon.
Google that, because this was kind of crazy, and that whoever this dean was, or whoever it was that chastised these people, they put up these signs that said it's okay to be white.
Oh,
right. And people were angry.
Yeah, it's like White Lives Matter, that kind of thing.
No, just that statement.
Right.
It's okay to be white. Like,
right.
why would anybody have a problem with that? Like, you didn't
Why do you feel you got to say that? Why?
Right.
What are you thinking about the people that aren't white? What do you?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It is complex. It's too.
But is that complex or is that fucking stupid? Here it is. Sign saying it's okay to be white found at Maryland High School. Found like a bomb.
Fucking bomb. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What does it say? Something at 5:45 a.m. and removed by staff before students arrived for classes. Also, so they discovered them.
We're taking this seriously.
Oh my God. They sent a letter home to families informing them that the signs were discovered on 10 doors at 5:45 a.m. and removed by staff before students arrived for classes. We are taking this seriously and are investigating this incident, wrote Renee Johnson, the school's principal. Our research so far has indicated this may be a part of a concerted national campaign to foment racial and political tension in our school and community. The same flyer was posted in other cities and communities this week. Okay, but here's the question. Do you disagree with the sentiment of that statement? It is okay to be white. It's okay to be Chinese. It's okay to be Indian. It's okay to be whatever the fuck you are. It's not okay to be racist. Maybe if they wrote, it's okay to be right, it's not okay to be racist. Maybe if they wrote that, would that be an issue?
That would have helped.
Right.
That would have helped. When you walk into your school campus, and all of a sudden there's signs up everywhere that normally there are no signs.
Well, if they're a white person and they feel like they're being openly racially discriminated against, is it okay to say, hey, it's all right to be white? Is that okay?
Yeah, yes, of course.
So what's wrong with that sign?
Because you pop them up in the middle of the night and put them all up on it, and you come in with your little lunch bag and you're going to teach your Spanish class, and on your door is a sign that says "okay to be white." Your knee-jerk reaction is, well, what are you doing?
Oh, the flyers appear to be a part of an online campaign that is detailed on the web forum 4chan. Okay, but is that saying that 4chan's talking about this online campaign, or is it saying that 4chan started this online campaign?
I would lean towards that because it was Halloween night, and they discovered this article was posted November 1st, so it's like not like it's just a fun Halloween prank, but like people do that stuff on Halloween. So.
It's like, it's totally okay to think it, and it's like the guy with the bumper stickers all over his car. It's like those guys are a little more unhinged than the other people. It's like, I think it's okay to be white. Do I have to make a sign? Do I have to go get copies? Do I have to get some tape? Do I have to sneak on campus? Do I have to put it up there? Oh boy.
There was an article in Washington Post. Google this. This woman wrote this article, "Why Can't We Hate Men?" And it was published in the Washington Post, and it, of course, had a photo of Harvey Weinstein, who's a disgusting man.
Right.
Right? And this is like the perfect example. But that is literally like, it's like
does that mean
picking
all men?
out the worst white man, Hitler,
yeah.
Right? And why can't we hate white men?
Right.
Because all white men are Hitler.
Right.
Why can't we hate white people?
Is that what the article...
Well, the article, I don't know what the article says. I didn't read it. But I mean, like, how could you write an article that says, why can't we hate men?
Well, because you want to get...
Unless you're trying to say we can hate men because men are human and we got to give everybody a chance. And we can't generalize even if men have done horrible things.
I'd have to read it. I mean, it's definitely... The headline is made to make you want to read it.
It's clickbaity.
Yeah, it's clickbaity, exactly.
It's fascinating.
How about we just take the hate out, guys? Can't we just do that?
Sweetie.
What's wrong with just...
Tom Papa's a big sweetie.
Come on. Can't we just get along?
You are a big sweetie, Tom
How long
Papa.
are you going to be here? How much time? I would much rather live in a world where you go with your grandfather and get a little bread, and you come back home, and they yell at each other, and you make a meal, You know what I mean? Like, why are we spending all this time?
Because
I mean, there's people
well-
that need to spend the time to move the culture and do things and protect themselves.
that's not what this is. This is people trying to get attention for their work. They're trying to get attention
Right.
for their clickbaity little articles and clickbaity little things.
Yes,
and
of
clickbaity
course.
little campaigns against people. That's what it is. I mean, people
Yes.
love that shit.
All I would have had to do with this book is write something about Trump in it, and that people could soundbite.
Right.
Right. And
Sure.
and have a lot of people be like, "What is?" and get everybody talking about it.
Right.
Right. That's what they're doing. They're trying to make noise so people look at them and they make more money.
Well, and then there's also, I mean, there has to be a thought behind it, like that men have done some horrible, shitty things. So, but the idea of why can't you generalize? Of course, well, you can't generalize because you're a nuanced human being.
Right.
And you're supposed to be able to understand that
Thoughtful.
well, everyone is different. Literally everyone.
Yes.
There's 150 million men. The idea of why can't you hate all of them? Well, you can if you want to, but it's a ridiculous way to live your life.
No, exactly. So it means are you straight and you are attracted to men and you have to hate them all and then quarantine yourself away from
There's a
them?
lot of those guys, right?
There's a lot of really good people out there.
Well,
It's
that's-
Father's Day.
How often does that have to happen with people who are homophobic, who hate gay people,
Yeah.
who rally against gay marriage and rally against gay rights, and then you find out that they're really gay?
Yes. Oh my! All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Almost everyone super religious guy
Yeah, in
who is
politics.
anti-gay.
Some scandal always comes
Yeah.
out. Oh, he was sleeping with.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, they're so common. It's cliche.
Yeah, I know. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that many
It's like
of
you
them.
look for it when someone talks about gay. It's a sin against man, and
Yeah.
we should lock them up, and we should do this. And someone's sucking dick on the sneak dip.
Right.
Oh, let's follow that dude around.
Yeah, exactly.
What you doing behind
We're gonna
closed
find
doors,
it.
son?
We're gonna find it.
Yeah, they'll
Yeah.
find it. I mean, that is what people do. I think what I like about what you're saying and how I feel too is that we need to be nice to each other. This
Yes.
whole idea of this gotcha bullshit and this attacking people for things that don't necessarily make sense without nuance, without the understanding of complexity of human interaction,
Yeah.
with no concern for that at all.
Yeah.
Because you just want to target. I mean, we have to shun that stuff.
Yeah,
'Cause that
100%.
stuff, that stuff is just pure foolishness, and it's bad for discourse. It's bad for community. It's bad for the way we communicate with each other.
It generates more hate.
And it's also a generalization, a gross generalization, which is just the same thing as sexism. It's the
Yeah.
same thing as racism. It's the same thing. Why can't we hate men? It's a gross generalization.
Yeah.
Like that I don't know what the article said, but that statement. That's a gross general. You can't because you're a nice person. I
Right.
assume you're a nice person.
Yeah, because
So-
we don't hate. How about
Yeah.
that? How about we try not to
You hate them all. You hate Justin Trudeau. That guy seems like a sweetie.
That guy seems awesome.
You hear Trump called him
Amazing.
weak.
Yeah, and an amazing suit.
Jesus. Trump called him weak and dishonest.
Yeah. No, I mean, the culture has enough hate. I think the campaign has to be
Yeah.
for more kindness.
Let me ask you something. Do you think your car insurance rate is fair? See, here's how insurance works.
Where did our language originate? Hello, do you understand what I'm saying? Great, that's because we speak the same language. English is now considered a global lingua franca, which means it's been adopted by most of the world as a way for people of different languages to communicate. But this wouldn't have been necessary several thousand years ago, because large parts of Europe and Asia all spoke the same language. And what's more is that we may have just discovered precisely where these people all came from. So let's find out the answers to these questions and more as we ask the question, where did our language originate? Where did our language originate? The English language, which I am presently speaking rather eloquently, did not suddenly appear in the mouths of English folk. Like all languages, it is derived from earlier languages which can be traced back thousands of years. English was a development of the Anglo-Frisian languages spoken by most of the British Isles and parts of modern-day Denmark, Germany, and the Netherlands during the early Middle Ages. Its roots are Germanic, having been brought over to Britain by the Anglo-Saxons sometime between the 5th and 7th centuries, supplanting the Celtic languages which had previously dominated the Isles. Damn foreign tongues coming over here and stealing how we do us say mouth of things, the words. How dare you? Before their British excursion, a common Proto-Germanic language would have been spoken by the Germanic people who migrated around Western Europe and Scandinavia, whose own way of speaking derived from the most widely spoken language family on the planet, the Indo-European language. As you can see from this tree, modern languages as diverse as Spanish, Punjabi, Russian, and Hindi all came from a single language spoken by humans several thousand years ago. Today, the Indo-European branch is responsible for 445 modern languages spoken by 42% of all humans. The languages of Finnish, Turkish, Chinese, and Love all developed separately. But we'll come to those later. Not everyone is convinced that a tree is the best way to display the timeline of languages, since they don't stop taking influence from one another after they've split off from a common ancestor. Instead, languages continue to exchange words and grammatical styles whenever their speakers meet. This is what happened.
This is a model that, well, actually, I work with a photography couple based out of Atlanta. Their company is called Creative Soul Photo, and they do these elaborate photo shoots of black kids with natural hair. And so that's their whole theme for their models. And so they just find like really cute kids and do their hair all nice and put them in some really nice outfits and photograph them like that for magazines and stuff. Creative Soul Photo. Check them out on Instagram, yo. Photograph for Photograph is a masterpiece. It's like they have this eye that's undeniable, and they can see just like, I don't know, these beautiful images and create them. And so I talked to the couple and asked if I could use some of their photographs because I'm in love with their work. And so they agreed to let me do 2 of them. And so these are the 2 I'm working on now. So this one is that one back there, and this one here. But yeah, their stuff is really good. I really like their material.
To the English language after the Anglo-Saxons brought it over to Britain. First, the Vikings had their way with Old Lady Britannia and introduced words like snug, nudge, and maelstrom. Then the Normans from France invaded, throwing in terms like mansion, pork, and maternal. It was at this point that the British locals were finally able to describe what happened when they got snugged with their maternal grandmother in the mansion, only for her to give them a nudge in the middle of the night and embark in a maelstrom of pork. Hey, don't judge. Things were different back then. The English language underwent standardization in the late Middle Ages after the invention of the printing press. But then, as the British Empire began to dominate, words were absorbed once more from languages around the world. This process of assimilation affects almost every language, and some linguistic scholars, like Alexandre Francois, believe that the wave model should be used to more accurately present the influences of different tongues upon one another. As a Frenchman, he should be an expert on such matters, given that his nation invented French kissing. But regardless of how we analyze our modern languages and display their origins, of one thing we are almost certain. All Indo-European languages owe their existence to a single dialect spoken several thousand years ago by the Proto-Indo-Europeans. And, according to recent research, we may have just discovered where these people
Proto-Indo-Europeans?
Proto-Indo-Europeans first existed sometime around
Good
the late
evening,
Neolithic
Montana.
period, with estimates ranging from the
How are you
4th
doing,
to the
sir?
7th millennia BC. Maps like this help us understand where the prehistoric inhabitants of Eurasia spread to and when. But the exact origin of this group has remained a contentious topic. Fringe groups believe that Indo-Europeans and their language may have emerged out of Anatolia or India by the Indus Valley civilization. However, the most widely accepted theories suggest that the Proto-Indo-Europeans who came to dominate Eurasia emerged from either the Western Eurasian steppe or the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia. The steppe hypothesis, also known as the Kurgan theory, argues that Kurgan people spread the Proto-Indo-European language through a series of migrations from their homeland in modern-day Ukraine, Moldova, and Russia. The Kurgans were said to be the first to domesticate horses for human use, and this trait provides evidence for the Kurgan hypothesis. In works published in the Annual Review of Linguistics, Don Ring and David Anthony noted that the Kurgans were nomadic pastoralists rather than intensive farmers, as proven by the lack of agricultural terms in their reconstructed language. This is in contrast to the abundance of words this group had for horses, cows, and wheeled vehicles. Simply put, these guys loved riding horses, driving cattle, and getting animals to pull stuff. They did not like farming, with the invention of agricultural terms explained by the Kurgans' later interactions with the Neolithic farmers, who they found dotted around Europe and Asia. The competing theory suggests that the Fertile Crescent, home to the ancient Egyptians and Sumerians, was the true source of the Proto-Indo-European language. What's interesting is that both of these locations lie either side of the Caucasus Mountains found between the Caspian and Black Seas. Well, I find that interesting, even if you don't. A team from the Max Planck Institute tried to identify whether Proto-Indo-Europeans emerged from the north or the south of the Caucasus. And to do so, they analyzed the DNA of a group of 45 people who lived in the area between 3,200 and 6,500 years ago. Research indicates these people were migrating north, which means they came from south of the mountains, lending credence to the idea that their homeland was the Fertile Crescent. This would date the Proto-Indo-European language as having spread to Europe 6,500 years ago. By contrast, the Kurgan theory gives us an origin of 4,800 years ago, but this is deemed too late by some experts. The Max Planck research is yet to be peer-reviewed, so the precise origin of Proto-Indo-Europeans may therefore remain unknown until further evidence to support either hypothesis emerges. What would really help narrow the search would be some written evidence of this language. But thus far, Proto-Indo-European is entirely hypothetical, with its structure having been reconstructed through the deconstruction of Indo-European tongues. The first attempt at writing in this reconstructed language was performed by August Schleicher in 1868. August, who disappointingly was born in February and died in December, wrote a tale of horses and sheep using PIE as it was understood at the time. In recent years, improvements to how PIE was written and spoken have been based on our further understanding of the language. You may ask yourself, is Jack Daniel going to take a shot at this 1,000-year-old language? You bet your ass he is. You think you get to have a name like that and a voice like this without taking risks? Here goes nothing. Awa Hughes May. Och mach nech mest, so hech not sterkt, so gegroen hockig wekkig, so mechem borum, morum bochumde, home is hekko bos whale, etc., etc. Wow, those old-timey geezers sure used a lot of phlegm when they spoke. Of course, Proto-Indo-European isn't the only language family spoken by human beings. Afro-Asiatic, Niger-Congo, Dravidian, and Sino-Tibetan are just some of the other major trees which have spawned many hundreds of languages still spoken today. But was there ever a single global language spoken by all of humanity? Some researchers believe.
And that's the weird question because Montana. But when you look at, I'm not religious, but I do go to the Bible because it's a main cultural focal point for a lot of different religions, and which make up large populations of different cultures. But like you said, was there ever a global language that everybody spoke the same thing? And when you read Genesis, Adam and Eve are talking to each other, and they're talking to God, and God talks to them. So, what was this language that God spoke in? What was the language that Adam and Eve spoke? And I think, that the Bible is a combination of myths and allegorical stories and some facts that have been, blown out of proportion. But little things like that subside in the human conscious or the human subconscious, knowing that there was a time where everybody just spoke the same language. And the other freaky thing that trips me out about, well, there's so many weird things about Genesis. But Cain killed his brother and he got banished to the land of the refugees. Who the fuck are all these refugees? How do they have their own land? How did they already have like this understanding of a different symbolic meanings or things like that? Because they say he was marked. Well, he was scared to leave because he said, "Oh, people will stone me because I killed my brother." Well, how the fuck they know? If you're here and they're in this other land of the exiles, how would they know what happened? What kind of communication system was going on where strangers could know that you murdered someone in a different location? And then they said, well, I'll put a mark on you to let everyone know not to touch you. How do they understand this symbol? How do they understand this marking system? Where did this come from? And you're going to leave from where? Right outside the Garden of Eden, and you're going to go to this land of exiles and still be able to converse and communicate with these people? What language was that? You know what I'm saying? The shit is weird to say the least.
Believe so. And we're going to investigate the day. Beings, Afro-Asiatic, Niger-Congo, Dravidian, and Sino-Tibetan are just some of the other major trees which have spawned many hundreds of languages still spoken today. But was there ever a single global language spoken by all of humanity? Some researchers believe so. And we're going to investigate this in our bonus video, The First Language of Earth, which you can watch over at patreon.com/Strange Mysteries now. For a $2 monthly pledge, you'll gain access to this and over 100 more bonus videos. And you'll also become part of the Strange Mysteries community, where we interact with fans to discuss the topics we want to make and you want to see. Your contributions have a huge impact on our ability to produce mind-bending videos which explore fascinating topics in more depth than ever before. And nowhere is this more evident than in our premium videos, exclusive to our $20 Patreons, where we consult with the scientific community to investigate cutting-edge research before the mainstream media even catches on. If you don't want to donate, then that's bullshit.
We know you wanted more. Strange Mysteries on YouTube and our Patreon bonus videos weren't enough to quench your search for truth, to give you that sense of awe and wonder again, to go past what you thought was the end, to give you the answers you seek, but which only lead to more questions. That's why we just upped the stakes. Chemicals of reality. Reality, consciousness, brains. What else is there? Ask yourself that question. Perhaps that's all there really is, but perhaps everything else is found within a place where these ideas, these things, overlap. Some thing, some place that is undefinable. To many people, altering certain chemicals in their brains produces what they would simply call hallucinations. In fact, what we're going to discuss specifically used to be called the businessman's trip, as one could enjoy it. Come down and put your pants back on in the time it takes to eat lunch. It wasn't taken seriously. Well, unless, of course, you started digging. And some people, including us, did. Already, though, to many people, this chemical is special amongst others. Very special. To them, it represents something more meaningful and incredible, as if it's the gateway to the next level of consciousness. The ticket to a higher reality barely explored by most humans. It is the entry point to a new reality, visited by only a select few, whose minds have become enlightened through the use of this exotic substance. For this reason, it's commonly referred to as the spirit molecule. But is its reputation as a mystical mind opener deserved? Or is it, and everything it represents, just a load of bullshit? We look at, investigate, and dive deeply into nearly all available research regarding this question, from nearly every angle feasible. And in the course of doing so, stumble upon unexplainable patterns, correlations, and neurological evidence for a reality existing beyond this one. Watch this hour-long Strange Mysteries premium video, Chemicals of Reality, as well as many more to come, by becoming an elite premium member of our Patreon at patreon.com/strangemysteries.
Let me ask you something. Do you think your car insurance rate is fair? The premiums you pay cover that.
Okay, so the evidence is overwhelmingly conclusive. There was absolutely a massive global cataclysm that happened approximately 12,980 years ago that was a total reset button for human civilization. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 key pieces of evidence, including core ice sample data taken from both Antarctica and Greenland, soil data taken from the Younger Dryas black mat layer, the unexplainable extinction event of 75% of all mammals in North America and 120 large megafauna, i.e. mammals larger than 100 pounds, that all went extinct at the same period of time, evidence of the sudden and unexplainable end of the last ice age, including a massive 400-foot rise in sea level that happened in a very short period of time, as well as a key piece of evidence that proves that there was an advanced human civilization dating back more than 13,000 years. Yet despite the overwhelming evidence taken from the most recent and technologically advanced scientific analysis ever taken on this subject, it's still not being taught in schools. It's still not printed in the textbooks, and you still won't hear about it from almost anyone in mainstream science. Now let's start with key evidence from the core ice samples taken from Antarctica and Greenland. Both these samples confirm that there was two events, one that happened 12,980 years ago, give or take 5 years, as well as another one that happened 1,400 years later, or 11,600 years ago, where we saw a few things happen on planet Earth in a very short period of time, including a 400-foot rise in sea level, which happened so rapidly that there's evidence that suggests that it may have raised as much as 30 feet globally in just a 24-hour period, as well as a 15-degree Fahrenheit temperature swing that went from one end of the spectrum to the other in that period of time, most of which happened in just a few cycles of seasons, i.e. a couple years. You know, it's interesting, with all this talk about global warming right now, everyone's fussing over what the effects will be of a 3-degree Fahrenheit temperature increase. Guys, we're talking about 5 to 6 times as much as that. Now, the process for getting this data from the core ice samples is very interesting. You can literally see and measure the rise and fall of sea levels from one year to the next. So you're probably asking, what could have caused such an event? Well, the evidence is overwhelming that there was a cosmic collision, i.e. a comet or an asteroid hit the North American ice shelf, which at that time was more than 2 kilometers thick on average. That's more than a mile thick, guys, and in some places more than 2 miles thick. This cosmic impact would have caused a massive evaporation of a significant portion of the North American ice shelf. Not all of it, but enough of it to cause massive flooding, as well as having a significant portion of this ice blasted into the atmosphere, only to be rained down in significant proportions around the globe for days and weeks to come. Now, further evidence that supports this cosmic impact includes the Younger Dryas black mat boundary that you can see in these pictures here. And there have been samples taken from dozens of locations across 3 continents around the world that shows that more than 50 million kilometers, almost a third of the Earth's landmass, was literally covered in 2 to 3 inches of nanodiamonds, melt glass, iridium, even extraterrestrial helium. Now, these elements are only found from 2 causes, nuclear blasts and cosmic collisions. However, when you take into account the extraterrestrial helium, as it's called, it's pretty conclusive that it was in fact a cosmic collision. Now, at that same exact period of time as we're seeing in the soil samples, there's an unexplainable mass die-off. Like I said, 75% of all mammals in North America went extinct in a very short period of time, as well as 120 megafauna, or mammals that are larger than 100 pounds. Many of which, I mean, look at these pictures. Some of these you have never ever seen before. You never knew they existed. They're not covered in the textbooks largely. However, the current explanation by modern science is that, well, apparently humans must have caused the mass extinction, that a bunch of primitive hunters and gatherers overkilled and overhunted, and that's why there was this mass die-off. However, there's evidence that contradicts that. For example, there has been mass mortality sites of woolly mammoths. They have found fields of more than 1,000 woolly mammoths, many of which had broken legs as if their body had been blasted over with their legs still standing, and some of which still have food in their mouths. This further validates that there was a sudden and cosmic collision that caused a mass extinction event for so many animals in a short period of time. So if this was possible for the dinosaurs, why wouldn't we think that it's possible to have happened to humans, which we know were alive at that time? Take, for example, Göbekli Tepe. Now, most people aren't aware of this. It's located in Turkey, not far from Mesopotamia, and it is dated at least to be 11,600 years ago through analyzation of organic matter, pottery, and other elements and artifacts found at that site. 11,600 years ago. Now, this site is more than 7,000 years older than Stonehenge, which is largely mysterious in of itself, right? Not only is it 7,000 years older, it's more than 50 times bigger, as verified through ground-penetrating radar, and only 5% of it has been excavated. Now, what's particularly interesting about this site isn't just the fact that it's the world's oldest and largest megalithic structure, but the fact that it's the first building or structure to ever align perfectly north and south. Not just in the direction of north and south, but perfect. Now, first of all, that's obviously not an accident when you consider just how incredible this site is, and that there's 20 to 50 ton pillars that clearly have a celestial meaning to them. However, one of the key pieces of information about Göbekli Tepe is that you could not possibly construct a perfectly north-south facing structure without having advanced astronomical knowledge. So how were they able to have that 11,600 years ago? After all, according to our textbooks, the Sumerians that date back 7,000 years ago are the ones that started all of human civilization. Yet this exceeds that by thousands of years and is completely unexplainable. And by the way, they also have evidence at the site of advanced agriculture that took place at that time. And like I said, advanced agriculture wasn't supposed to have started until the Sumerians. More than 5,000 years later? That's interesting. Now here's a key piece of information you need to take into consideration. Right now, as of today, approximately 40% of the entire world's population lives right on the coast. And more than 75% of the world's population lives within 60 kilometers of a coast. And then when you take into consideration the evidence that show that there was a 400-foot rise in sea level, New York, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, Tokyo, Beijing, London, so many other, I'll have to stop there because I could keep naming them. How many of the world's most advanced civilizations are right on the coast? And what would happen if the sea levels rose as much as 30 feet overnight? Now that being said, this event wouldn't have made the entire human race go extinct. There would have, of course, been survivors. And that's where Göbekli Tepe comes in. It suggests that humanity was trying to rebuild itself after this massive cataclysm, and that it shows that 11,600 years ago was when this site essentially was stopped operating and was buried. And at that same exact period of time, there was another event that caused a massive rise and fall of global sea levels, temperatures, as well as a significant number of animals going extinct, all at that same period of time. I don't think that's a coincidence. But many people argue that, okay, if there was an advanced civilization, where's all the evidence? Where's the metal buildings? Where's the fiber optic cables underground? Where's all this stuff? We're talking over 10,000 years ago? Take into consideration what happens if you leave a car outside for just a few decades. It starts eating itself away. Or even houses, for example. If you don't do a significant restoration project on a house after a few decades, the house will fall in on itself. Now let's compare the Titanic as an example. More than 50,000 tons of steel and iron has been underwater for just more than 100 years, and it's nearly all the way gone. And in another 100 years, it'll almost be non-existent. Now think about what would happen over 10,000 years. The only thing that you would have left is stone. Now something else that we find across the world, across more than 6 continents, in more than 500 cultures, is the story of a flood. Well, look at these photos. Now, these are from Joe Rogan's podcast with Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock. But what you're seeing here is photos from Montana, Idaho, and Washington that show these absolutely massive ripples, more than 50 feet tall and hundreds of feet long, and absolutely prove and show that there was some sort of massive flood that happened. In fact, take a look at this photo. It compares this location in Montana with Niagara Falls. Now, in Niagara Falls, approximately 150,000 to 200,000 cubic feet of water spill over the falls every second. However, when you compare this size, it shows that this would have been more than 350 million cubic feet of water per second. Take, for example, Lake Tahoe, which is located between California and Nevada. This lake is 22 miles long, 12 miles wide, and up to 1,600 feet deep. And there's enough water in this lake to cover the entire state of California in 14.5 inches of water. Now consider what would happen if you instantly evaporated or melted just a portion of the North American ice shelf, like I mentioned earlier, was more than 2 kilometers thick on average. Wouldn't that explain a massive rise in sea level at that time? We know that at the time of the last ice age, the sea level was 400 feet lower than it is today. So this explains a lot of megalithic structures that have been found off the coast of various regions around the world. So when you connect the dots on these key pieces of evidence, including the ice core samples, the Younger Dryas boundary soil samples, the mass extinction, the rapid ending of the last ice age, the sudden rise of temperatures and the global sea level, and Göbekli Tepe, which is completely unexplainable. Anyways, guys, I'm going to close up there. Leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, and be sure to like and subscribe and help me spread the message. Take care, everybody.
Yo, Alex, what's up? Appreciate it, man. practice, 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 practice.
Want crazy fast internet? Done. And now Xfinity Mobile's included. You could save $400 or more a year, which you could spend.
I can't waste this earth on my limelight. Yeah, I ain't tryna waste my time on earth with the wrong light. Sing my songs and the kid like shirt. Side I just wanna sit down, get out of this shirt. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Yeah. Yeah. I'm out of heads and rolls and days and goes away. The boast just stays and low for days and goes away. No, it's not me, no, it's not me. He said it's not true, but it's gotta be one of us. Cause there's only one of us. It's right like us. That I have to fuck us. Shannon said stuff up. Talk about it. None of it was stuck up. None of it snuck up. A freak, the man that said, but let it in. I always wanna get back to over it again. It's like again, shoot again, and shoot again. I want really admit I had to have some bigger men.
That's my son.
Abandonments and tear apart your ligaments. It's I'm for sharing it. I gotta get for clearing it. I gotta get my clearance in VIP and the stars to the limit. So we go into the streets and we bang, gang. Matter what I do, it don't matter what I do. Everything is limited to what you know. Better start a rope. Better start a riot, cause I never had no hope. I had to start low. Hands first though. I was dreaming about it, but I never had a goal. Send static weapons to the party, catch it, anesthetic, and it's stupid like a starry project, anesthetic, cat, anesthetic for your cutting off, anesthetic passion, I was calling out the running off, anesthetic footing off, anesthetic kidding off, I don't gotta get it off, I don't want to freak off, gotta follow Nico, eh, I just like a freak, yeah, anesthetic like a legal, yeah, hey. Yeah. When I run into the dead, I saw you.
That's what's up, yo. Yeah, my little man just turned 14. Swear down, he about to be the next Uzi Vert or whoever these guys are, Lil Pump or somebody. He said, "You think I should dye my hair?" I said, "Are you gonna tell your boyfriend?" He said, "I ain't got no boyfriend." I said, "Well, shit, you shouldn't dye your hair then." Do I think you should dye his hair? No. You think I should dye my hair? Oh my God, dude. These new age kids, these techno digital age kids is my son got some flow. I can't understand half of the shit he said though. He got, I know it's mumble rap, but damn, sound like he got a mouthful of marbles. All right, this my cousin right here, yo. Hey, babe. Yeah, when the DJ makes more than the band. This my cousin. He used to be on a different style, more like a 90s type feel, but like this the latest song he put out right here.
No, you ain't tough enough. Why? I'ma call you bluff. Yeah. Now you wonder why. I see it in your eyes. Now you realize. Run it up, run it up, run it up. Yeah. Run it up, run it up, run it up. Yeah. Run it up, run it up, run it up. Yeah. Run it up. You know I gotta run it up. Yeah. I'm so blown off the ghost. I'm just having fun. I'm just trying to get loose. I don't have no time for no bullshit. Yeah. You can get hit with the pump like yeah. Flexing on y'all niggas, I'm Benzo. 35 on the road, I'm Benzo. Run them bands up, run them bands up, yeah. I'm the man, what's up, yeah. Oh, you acting tough, no, you ain't tough enough. Why? I'ma call you bluff, yeah. Now you wonder why. I see it in your eyes. Now you realize. Run it up, run it up, run it up, yeah. Run it up, run it up, run it up, yeah. Run it up, run it up, run it up, yeah. Run it up, you know I gotta run it up, yeah. Diamonds on my wrist like yeah. 40 on my hip, serving her a tip. She just want my trip like yeah. I got what you need, come fuck with me. Scared about the scene, I know where you wanna be. Rockstar lifestyle, my speed in the crowd. Going dumb like wild, going dumb like how. When I pull out the tape, one shot no foul, yeah. You know I got it, I'm Benzo. I pull out the tape, one shot no foul, yeah. You know I got it, I'm Benzo. See you flexing on y'all niggas now, I'm Benzo. 5 on the road, Benzo. Random bands up, random bands up, yeah. I'm the man, what's up, yeah. Oh, you acting tough, no, you ain't tough enough. Why? I'ma call you bluff, yeah. Now you wonder why. I see it in your eyes. Now you realize. Run it up, run it up, run it up, yeah. Run it up, run it up, run it up, yeah. Run it up, run it up, run it up, yeah. Run it up, you know I gotta run it up, yeah. Random bands up, 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 yeah. I just might call you back sometime. A nigga might just holler back sometime. I might just call you back, but stop telling those lies about me, girl. I just might call you back someday. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Trying to find some more of my cousin music. He don't really post a lot of his shit nowhere. He'll leave it up for a little while and take that shit down. Damn. You know, so my cousin did this shit back in the day, yo. This was he wrote the anthem for the high school for the basketball games and stuff.
Competition is lenient, so tell me who was next. I never sleep on anyone that believe with the best. Shout out to 84370 is across my chest. Guess what? I'm blessed to be a Hartsville citizen. Other teams play something quiet, you can call it whispering. Shooting threes, you know that trigger finger flickering. Wow, that thing be flickering. When I bring them in, we go into the win. Y'all calling out some defense, I call out the twin. You need some threes? I bring out Zico, and J-Bo will dunk on you from the baseline to the free throw. Listen, wanna be a part of this nation, better keep wishing. Shooting all day, might as well call it swishing. $6 at the door is the price of admission. More championships is the Red Fox wishing. Red, black, black, red. So dedicated, I might run around with a mascot on my head. Get up out your seat and move to the beat, cause we are the mighty foxes and we can't be beat. Yeah, we rock. It feels so good to be a red fox. Yeah, we rock. It feels so good to be a red fox. Now you like that red black? How you like that red black? How you like that red black? How you like it like that? How you like that red black? How you like that red black? How you like that red black? How you like it like that? Check me out, legendary, we're never secondary, absolutely necessary, winning is hereditary, I'm a red fox forever. If you didn't know that we are good up under pressure, now you like that red black. Show me how you rock that red hat. Call us what you want, but don't call us a red cat. Show us how you do. Champions 2012. When those foxes come for you, don't be scared, just boo hoo. 4 rings in 1 year. Cheerleaders, yeah, they cheer. Parts real, how your heart feel when I depart still. It's all clear. We shine, chandelier. Red fox, we all here. Bang shots all day. Red foxes cashier. We never gave up. Now we here to stay. Live, fight, play another day. Foxes for life. We championships again.
Next Nathan coming at you from the 2017 Los Angeles International Auto Show. And behind me, the Mitsubishi, check it out, Eclipse Cross. No, it's not an Eclipse, it's an Eclipse Cross, which is, well, basically a turbocharged small crossover B-segment SUV that has a turbocharged engine, a 1.5 liter, that puts out 152 horsepower, and get this, 100...
about to take a break and go eat something. Next time I come back in here, I'll be somebody sent me a party invite to Grand Theft Auto. I'm not playing Grand Theft Auto right now. But yeah, when I come back, I'll start putting some more colors on this canvas right here. I think these pieces are going to turn out nice. All right, peace. Till next time.